Okay, guys, in this lesson we're going to talk about clauses. And a clause is a group of words that has a subject and a verb. Take a look at these examples here of clauses. As you go through, make a mental note of what is the subject of each clause and the verb. And then I will show you in just a second the subject and verb of each clause, and you can check yourself. Okay, as you can see, I have marked all of the subjects in yellow and all of the verbs in blue, and hopefully what you thought were subjects and verbs matched with what I have marked. It's very important that you can see within a group of words whether it has a subject and a verb or it doesn't. Okay, well, let's look at phrases versus clauses. So we remember from the phrase videos that a phrase won't have both a subject and a verb. It may have one or the other, but it won't have both. If it does have both, then it is a clause and it's not a phrase. So let's look at these groups of words here. Here we have a phrase, after the game. And I want you to see what it looks like when you have a clause. Very similar wording, but in this one you have I went as your subject and your verb. So this one is a clause, but after the game is just a phrase. Let's look at the next one. Because of Winn-Dixie is just a phrase. If we move over here, because she loved Winn-Dixie, because we've added she loved, that's a subject and a verb, and now it becomes a clause. And then in the last example, you have before the test, that is just a phrase. On this side, before we take the test, we take is your subject and your verb, and now you have a clause. So be aware that of the difference between the phrase and the clause. Now, for clauses, there are two major types. Let's scroll on up. You have the independent clause and the dependent clause. And an independent clause can stand alone as a sentence. That's what we know as our simple sentence. You may want to write that in as a keynote as well as your independent clause, but that as your key point or key term. And it needs to make a complete thought. That's another important bit of information. Here I picked out from the original set that we had at the top. These both are independent clauses that make a complete thought. So notice that you have your subject in the sentence is I, and then despise would be the verb, and the whole thing together collectively makes a complete thought. I despise the color orange. It is a complete thought. In the next sentence, Michael Phelps would be the subject. Is your verb, and then the thought is completed by the predicate noun, the greatest Olympian. So those are examples of independent clauses. A dependent clause is going to be a group of words that also contains a subject and a verb, but it does not express a complete thought. A dependent clause cannot be a sentence, and often it is marked or it's begun by clue words like since or because. So when you see those words, you know that it's got to be a dependent clause. So I have a list of clue words here for you. And to help you memorize this list, which you will need to know for sentence quizzes and sentence tests, you'll need to know these words by memory. You can practice by singing these words to the tune of the Happy Birthday song. So it goes like this. After all, though, as, because, before, if, since, then, though, unless, until, when, whenever, where, whereas, wherever, while. Cha, cha, cha. The cha, cha, cha. That's just an addition to make it fun. Those are not clue words, okay? All of these are your clue words that you need to memorize. So I expect lots of singing of the tune Happy Birthday. I had a class last year that anytime it was somebody's birthday, they didn't sing the actual birthday song. They just sang the clue words. The after all, though, as, because. It was funny. Anyway, so memorize those clue words and make sure you know the rest of the key terms within this vodcast. All right, that's it.